Herzlich willkommen zu Teil 3 mit the one and only Danien Feier. Und wir haben seine Frau dabei, Stefania. Das ist noch eine Premiere, weil wir werden dieses Gespräch auf Englisch führen. Weil Stefania kann super Italienisch als Italienerin, ist mit einem Deutschen verheiratet, aber das reicht nicht für ein YouTube-Video. Deswegen, wir machen das gleich auf Englisch. Wir werden deutsche Untertitel drunter machen für all die, die Englisch nicht so gut können. Aber es lohnt sich sehr. Welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much, really, to have us here today.
Ich muss noch kurz dazu sagen, wenn ihr nicht wisst, wer der Danien ist, dann schaut euch die beiden anderen Videos an, die wir unten drunter verlinken. Die sind grandios, sensationell, mir fehlen die Worte, schaut euch die an. Und darauf setzen wir jetzt auf. When we met for the first time, he told me your story about your honeymoon travel to where? Seychelles, yes, beautiful time, and you promised each not to work.
Yes.
But you broke the promise.
Yeah, 2 days? 3 days?
Second day. We broke the promise.
Yeah, we put the phone in the safe box in our honeymoon. We said, okay, you know, we now have to take a break. It's our honeymoon. We locked the phone and we said we are not going to touch them.
And we prepared the whole team. Everybody knew we're going to be on honeymoon. Nobody judged us. We're on honeymoon. That's okay.
And our team told us, please, I don't want to hear from you. Relax. Take your time. You deserve it. And then on the second day, I think we were having lunch. And I said I need to know how the kids are doing. That was the first excuse. And then it's like, okay. And then we said to each other, let's just use the phone for an hour. We're going to time it. And then we ended up spending all day on the phone and sharing with our team our happiness, because we love what we do. It's not a job. So if you love what you do, you wanna enjoy it, and it was part of our honeymoon.
Yeah, but you have to say that what was so funny about it was that we said, okay, just 1 hour. I think we even said half an hour. I don't know. But anyways, we said like, okay, 1 hour, just 1 hour. So it was like, okay, let's do it. So we're like all agree. And then I remember I took the laptop and the phone and the charger, and you took the phone, as always, only the phone. And then we went to that beautiful bar overlooking the ocean, and we sat down and we plugged in everything. And from that moment, nobody was telling the other person, 1 hour is over, nothing. Like all of a sudden we're like 5 hours into it, and then we look at each other. Oh my God, more. Isn't this so amazing? I remember we were saying, isn't this so amazing?
I actually posted a picture on Instagram of the view and saying, this is our office today, but we love it.
Yeah, and then that's when we realized it's just like, we're just not like the others in a way that for us it feels like work. It's really our lives, and so we were sitting there, we just loved it. And then in that moment we were just like, wow, that is perfect, that's who we are. We love to drive and build and and then we had the most amazing honeymoon. Really.
This was the second day on the island. This was the day after the wedding.
Second day, the day after the wedding.
And the next days
in the evening.
We still did put it away. It's
not
that we were always on the phone, but we kind of spent every day at least a couple of hours working.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is, when you work as a couple and you have the same goals, I understand him and he understands me. I have women in my team that their husbands don't understand network marketing and don't understand that we are free, but we can work from wherever we want, but then you end up working maybe in times that you shouldn't be working normally. But in our case, we kind of... even in the evening, sometimes we say, okay, tonight after 10 o'clock, we're going to relax and maybe watch a movie. And then we end up working until 12 because we love it.
Just take last night. Okay,
yes.
We just came home from a 15-day tour with little sleep and little privacy and everything. And we said, okay, you know what? Today, because especially tonight, I'm flying to US. So I said, okay, let's take 7 o'clock. Well, let's make a super early cut. Right, like if we would. So anyways, but we say, okay, let's take a super early cut, 7 o'clock. We're gonna, watch a movie together, and just have some private time. So 7 o'clock, she's working, I'm working. I come home, she's on a Zoom call. I say, okay, I just want to tell you I'm here, but you have this Zoom call, so I'm just going to go meet another guy real quick. and then she said, okay, let's just meet the one guy. And I say, I'm back in half an hour, don't worry. So then it took me 1 hour Then I came back at 8. She was on another call. Then I was like, dude, I got this big contact. This guy just wrote me everything.
Yes.
Let me just do this. So anyways, it goes on. So we end up, and we were really early.
I
It
had dinner
ends up-
with the boys though. You were on the phone.
Yeah, but then when I was on the phone, and so I think we ended up at 11:15 or something.
Yes.
We really then sat down, which was about an hour to 2 hours earlier than normal, but
still watch the movie. We can go to bed whenever we want. We don't have office hours. We woke up later this morning. That's the beauty about network marketing. You have the freedom to wake up, to work where you want, when you want, with whoever you want. So we
but
decided
it kind of shows a little bit how we are as people. We always push each other to do more, and that's an effect that obviously helps both of us in the business.
Could you be as successful as you are now without her?
No, never.
No. Could you be as successful as you are
No.
without her?
Absolutely not. We balance each other's strengths and weaknesses. We are totally opposite. I am much more extrovert. I'm a people person. People give me energy. Like sometimes I go on stage. I'm always one of the last speakers because it's to be an honor to be the last. And so of course I'm exhausted because I talk with everybody. And when I get on stage, normally I'm very tired. And in the moment I start talking, I gain the energy back. And Danien, he is much more like of an introvert. In fact, we were twice at a party from the company before we started dating, and I didn't even see him. Not because he doesn't look good, he's a handsome man, but I didn't see him because he was always in a corner on his phone or talking to the few two friends. And I'm all over the place, talking with everybody, and at parties, he's the first one to leave with the first bus, and I'm the last one to go. But on the other hand, they call me Tornado because I'm a bit like a rocket pocket. How do they call me?
Pocket rocket.
Pocket rocket. Or,
rocket.
like, they say like, oh my God, Stefania is all over the place. They're like, you are a tornado. But tornadoes are also very messy. And without him, he's the guy who tells me, go left, go right, stop now, make a tour. Let's schedule your next few months. Without him, I would be totally lost. And he also gave me a lot of help with the beginning when I wanted to be professional.
That's really, honestly, we have to say that I learned so much from you, even though I did I did network marketing for, let me not lie, but something like 12 years before you.
Yeah.
Okay, deduct the time I was in real estate, whatever, at least 8 full years of real network marketing before I even knew you. And I had decent success. At the end, I even had what I called major success with a 90-day run that we covered in the last video. That was before I knew her. So that was incredible. And I thought it was the pinnacle of success. I thought, well, how can you make $100,000 a month? That's like, come on, really? That's not normal from where I come from, okay? And then I meet her, and oh my God, so many stories, Dirk. Like, we came to, look, I was a single guy, okay? I was living in Königstein, in Taunus, in Frankfurt. I had a penthouse. I had a Porsche. I was living
Porsches.
I was living the dream, and then later I moved in Wuppertal. But anyways, point is, I thought it's it, and then I meet her, and she has 3 kids. So from being a single guy, I get instant family. Okay.
I didn't want him,
and
He wanted.
That's a different story.
Yeah, okay, I'm just saying.
So, but what I realized is I thought I had a great income. And she looks at it and she was like, if you want to move to Dubai and send 3 kids to private school and without travel and everything, we're just gonna barely make it. But that is not
We're
even.
also not making 100,000.
You
at
better.
that moment.
Yeah. No, that was 1 month. But
Yeah.
my fixed income was like 35,000.
Yeah.
Because I got the 100,000 because of the rank events bonuses in that month, but 35,000 as like a passive income as a German guy, it's a good income in Germany.
Of
really,
course.
it's a big income. And the funniest part, she looks at the number, she's like, yeah, we better step it up like triple because it's not gonna work like that. And I was like,
Well,
hold on, what are you talking about?
Well, I came from a whole different world.
Yes.
I was super spoiled as a child. My kids, my parents have fashion stores, so I grew up wearing Valentino and wearing beautiful dresses because that was the.
How much is a Valentino dress?
Now,
No, you have to explain it because just say
it depends. As a child, I don't know how much my mom paid.
Okay, but how much is it?
Today depends. I don't know. It depends if it's a gown or if it's a
how
dress.
much of what you were wearing? Just give us a number.
Okay, sometimes
Just to understand
1,500 euros to 3,000 to 2,500, depends, okay? But Valentino, no, 1,500. But anyway, sometimes a gown can cost 5,000, right? So
No big deal, Dirk. No big deal.
So anyway, I came from, going to boarding school in Switzerland, in St. Gallen, one of the richest, most expensive schools in the world. After that, I moved to London. I was in the middle of all those, very rich Russian and Arabs and princes and sheikhs. And so for me, obviously, it was great the money he was making, but he was feeling like I own the world because in network marketing, they make you also feel like you're the king. And I'm like, well, actually, it's good, but don't feel you are all that because this is only the beginning. And especially, he kept on talking about going to Dubai. And I have an uncle who lived in Dubai, and I've been to Dubai many times, and I knew that Dubai with a family is very expensive. Of course, you can live indoor in the desert and in a small apartment, but I was like, look, I want my own money anyway. I don't want to depend on you because after what happened with my ex-husband, I decided I will never, ever, ever depend on a man again. So don't worry. But to do that, I need to work really hard. And I began to work very hard. I also did a 90-day run, and it worked for me as well. And at the end, I became very successful. And one thing that really bothered me was that because I was quickly successful, thanks to his directions and thanks to my work, people began to say, oh, Stefania is only successful because of Danien Feier. Mm-hmm. And that really triggered me. Because I don't want to be like a feminist or all that, but I'm a lot about believing in women and know that women are amazing and we can be better than many things as well. We can do 3-5 things at the same time, and we are great for network marketing. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna prove everybody that it's because women can do it and I can be better. And I overtook you. I love to say that. I overtook you 2 ranks for a year. So he was still a ruby and I was a diamond. And of course it was because he trained me and coached me. He took me to Eric Worre and he definitely helped me. But you never gave me a person. No. I was building everything on my own with my own contacts. And he was focusing on Germany. I was focusing on Italy. But Italians, we are so vain and we love to look amazing. And we use so much product. And he started to focus on what I was doing right that he wasn't doing. So you can say that part because you always say that part in trainings. But he was like...
Yeah. So look, the influence that we brought on each other was really crucial for the success today. For her, what you already said, was all the understanding and strategy and structure about network marketing, which of course she didn't have. So she was very talented, very strong people person, and with very high standards and very Italian, which brought in an amazing
cocktail of
entry for this business. But then when all I had to do was to add the strategy to that and the right reasons, and it just exploded.
You also understood that I was competitive, and you worked on my on my ego. You worked. He was so bad. Now I catch him when he does that, because now he can see that I'm super happy where I am. So he sometimes goes like, what about if this and this happens? And I'm like, stop trying to trigger me. Right now I'm super happy. We are trying to have a baby. Don't you even go there. But he does that.
So, but anyways, so for her, success was relatively quickly because she already had the personal, social skills and the right mindset, and all I had to add was some strategy. Now, looking at my story, it took me years and years and years and years to become successful because I didn't have it. I grew up with a strong will and with an understanding I have to work for what I need to get, but my world was small. My understanding about money was small. What I thought I deserve or I can make as an income, which is one of the most important things, was very small. For her, it was like a whole different level. Now, what happened to me when I got to know her, or when I started to be with her, that she's a very opinionated person, and she has very high standards, which of course is pushing me like crazy. If she says, well, $30,000 is great, but at least we need to triple that to even get started, and then I smile and she said, no, I'm serious, and then I whoa, okay. So I start thinking differently, and then also with other things, the way I dress, the way I talk to people, because honestly I was fine by not talking to a lot of people. And I also, the way I worked with my team, we didn't organize anything for the community. I was not the guy organizing the community night or doing, even ordering dinner for everybody. Not because I'm stingy, just because I was very bad in dealing with people. I like them, but I just didn't do much. I didn't think about it even.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
Look, it's very simple. Daniel would give the best trainings, because he's an amazing coach. The best training for hours and hours to all the people. And yet,
then after the training, I go to my room.
Because he was tired.
And I was done.
I would give
the training was done.
a very simple training, very simple, very down to earth. People could understand it. Lots of stories, much less knowledgeable. Okay, than you. Much less. How could I say, strategizing, much less numbers, and yet I was doing double, triple the volume.
Because you did the training for 2 hours, but you stayed with the people for another 5 hours.
Because
and I did the training for 5 hours and did not stay with the people because I thought I was done.
People come
Because
for
I didn't
how
understand.
you make them feel.
Yeah.
People stay because of how they feel. And also, they don't want to feel like numbers. Now, I'm not fake, huh? I'm like this for real. I really care about your kids. I really care about your family. I love to get to know you. And it's not that Danien is a bad guy, but because of his personality, he needs to go to a room and stare at a white wall after an event or read a book. I stay until I'm about to pass out. And
But is it not only Italian culture? Is it the same in Germany?
It's definitely a little bit culture-based. I'm with you, Dirk, on that, because I realized that too. But the truth is, even German people, I mean, look, even that sounds a bit bad if I say that about myself, but even when I have people in my team, like she says she knows everything about their kids and what they're doing, whatever, I didn't even know if they have kids, Dirk. I didn't even know if they have kids. And it's not that I didn't like them or didn't care for them in a business way. I cared for them in the business way a lot. I want to help them and I want to get them to the next level. But I didn't even think about asking if they have kids or what their names are.
or how they are, or
like nothing. Like it's just not even crossing my mind.
Of course.
So and obviously then what I'm lacking, I'm lacking the same bond that she has with her people. And that is why she created a much stronger community, even though my people was trained and my people were knowing how to sell and move and talk to people. We didn't have the same type of a community. And because of her, I realized that. I didn't realize it before. Even people tried to tell me and I didn't understand it. With her, I start to understand it. Why? Because I saw her acting differently.
He saw the volume.
Yes, and these changes,
he saw my check.
But these changes then ultimately affected my business massively.
Then he overtook me. Then he became double diamond, and then he overtook me, obviously. So I believe we complement each other in great ways. For sure, without each other, we wouldn't be where we are today. I'm also the best wife in the world because whenever he makes me a gift, since he makes 30% on my check, I tell him, well, actually, I did buy that gift for myself because you make 30% on me. No, I'm joking. We look at the business together now.
You meet a beautiful girl.
I'm her sponsor, that's why.
Yeah.
So I'm matching her.
Sorry, I need to wear glasses.
You meet a
my
beautiful girl, and you think you are a hero. You show her your lifestyle with the cars and the penthouse and the money, and she says, this is not enough. You have not to double, you have to triple. How does it feel and how do you handle this? This is first question, and the second is, she's more successful than you. You have 12 years more experience. You trained her and she's more successful. Many guys can't handle this. Many guys, this partnership will break because of the ego of the man. How do you handle this?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have to say now I overtook her back.
Okay.
That was a temporary situation.
Well, 1.5 years.
But to be honest, the question still applies because even also we compare countries. I mean, your country, your business, your Italian business, constantly, every time, every single month, not a single exception, beats my country's. Okay, So she is in many things. She's better and stronger. And I have one thing that I'm blessed with. We talked about all my weaknesses, being introvert and not being so good with people, which I can still be amazing with people, but it just, I don't know. It's
shy.
not.
Sometimes you're also shy, which sounds crazy because you see him
Yeah,
on
or I'm
stage.
just also like bad in small talk. Sometimes I'm catching myself thinking, what should I say? Like, because then there's awkward silence of like, what
He
should I say?
doesn't-
I really don't know. I don't have it natural. I need to
He likes to be.
But then sometimes it is.
He
But
likes to
sometimes
be
it's
with
not.
people like you, people that have the same mindset. Sometimes he gets.
Yeah, for me it's very hard to spend time with people that don't match my mindset or things, and then it's just like.
I love it.
And
I
then
love it instead because I can learn so much from everybody. I love people. But Danien now has totally understood that this is a people business. So in the moment he changed that, of course, also the Germans didn't feel like a number anymore and created a community.
Yeah, now we have
you
an
were also
amazing
helped
team.
by
You
your
have to
leaders.
say, but you have to say now we have an amazing team, amazing community. I mean, we
Amazing.
even have community nights.
I have to
now
say
we
also
even
Fabian
now we
helped
even beat
you
you guys in
and Tim.
organizing community stuff.
Yeah.
Because now we even now we got it
because
all
they're
like
younger
we-
as well.
I mean,
My
now we
team
do
is
great
different.
stuff.
We want posh parties.
But anyways,
You are
let's
okay.
answer the question. So Dirk, the one thing that's my strength after all these weaknesses
true.
is I really don't have a big ego. I
So
really
true.
don't. And I really like if she's better, amazing. She's better. I love it.
Zero ego.
I really don't. I don't feel less of me because of that. I don't feel attacked because of that. I don't feel I need to be the guy. Which is good because in network marketing there is a lot of people with a lot of egos, and I don't have an ego that much that I already forget that other people have it, and that's why I'm bad at recognition sometimes, because for me it's not important. If you
Not at all.
recognize me, I don't go for recognition, which is crazy because most people do.
I
In
go
fact,
crazy.
in fact, people say
no. Let me say this: we were all upset with you. Here he is on stage with Tony Robbins, with Pitbull, at the most important event ever. You have a whole part, and the guy doesn't even make a post. The guy doesn't even make a story. We are all like, "Are you kidding me?" I had to make a post about him and tag him. You know his social media. Now he's starting to step up the game. Zero ego. Like you have no idea. He had a double diamond, which obviously you don't understand, but so much volume. But it was just a ruby because he was more focused in helping his team or me than to go up himself. And then at a certain point we told him, okay, we need you now to go up, because in our business you can recruit in a way or work in that is a bit complicated. But what I'm trying to say, he has zero ego. So this problem of me being better than him didn't bother him at all.
Yeah.
I
In
have
fact,
an
what
ego.
I love, in fact, yeah, she has a huge ego.
Not
And
huge.
no,
I have.
well, it is bigger than your life size. So,
Yes, I'm
so
very
but
short.
but the point is, you know how people say like people do more for recognition than they do for money or something, because recognition is really high for most people. For me, it's not. But for me, more really what drives me is the progress, getting better. Mastery.
The
That's
vision.
for me, exactly. To see the vision being realized, that's what pulls me every day to get better. So that's why when I saw her being better at many things, I applied it, and I really applied those things. And I'm still not doing a perfect job in all of those things, but I'm doing a whole. It's like a whole different level in those areas. And there's more areas. So there is the energy you put in. There's the way you work with the people. There's the way you dress, but then there is also the eye for like details. You look a lot at details, and I didn't too much. I don't know if I have a good example now, but you're always like.
When we pack, for example,
Oh,
he
yes.
always forgets. We had, black ties. He forgets the shoes. He forgets this. He forgets the cufflinks. The tie here. And I go crazy. If I pack, I think every outfit in advance, 2-3 days in advance. Okay, this is gonna be. And I put the shoes. I put the jewelry. I put everything. 1 hour before we leave, everything in. So now I started to do it for you, but then you'll never like what I pack because now he's all into flying, and we fight over that as well. But I just want to say one thing. When I met him, it's not that I didn't think 35,000 euros is enough. Please don't take me wrong. Obviously, I just wanted him to understand that he felt like I'm the king of the world, because he was
Yeah, but
looking
not in an
at the
egocentric
income.
way. I just thought it was amazing.
I know, but you were looking at the income of all your 5 friends that
people I
obviously
knew.
were making $1,000, $2,000 a month. What I wanted to understand was, look, I don't want your money. And that I made it clear, because I began to make more money than you because I wanted my independence. So I was like, look, first of all, you're too young for me, and I don't really want to date anybody now. I want to be on my own. Yes, you're amazing, you're a great guy, but look, there's so many girls that want you, the power of stage, and money, and so why don't you go to them? Do you remember, the beginning was more like, and I'm now focusing on my kids and on my business. But I just want you to know that you feel like the king because you're looking at those 20 friends, 5 friends you have. But look, I come from a whole different world. And to me, I don't even know if I'm going to make $10,000 a month. But to me, my goal is really big because I have friends who are millionaires. So I'm used to that. Now, is it harder to fall when you are up here and you fall down? You get really hurt. And in that moment, I was broke. I had no money even to go to the supermarket if it wasn't for my parents. I had to sell my jewelry. I had to sell my clothes and my shoes. My ex-husband was working in Formula One, so I had a lot of beautiful dresses, and I had to get rid of them. Some of them got ruined because I put them in a garage of a friend of mine, and then the bathroom of the neighbor leaked, and all the water went on my dresses. And I was like, I can't believe it. I lost everything. But I'm going to build it alone. But my mindset was always big. And his mindset was like, I arrived. I am a rich German guy. And I'm like, hey, guy, good, look, I know people that make what you make per hour. So you are great and congratulations. And please teach him what you can do. But don't think you're a big deal. That was the whole conversation. And then from there, it got really, really strong. I mean, our business exploded.
The truth is, because of all of this, what came together, and then with the kids and the expense and everything, we had to completely change our way how to think about everything. And that new way of thinking led to a new, different result. That's the truth.
Yes. And this is what I also want your followers to see, is a question of your mindset. Where do you set your limits? I was blessed that my father was an entrepreneur. My ex-husband was a successful businessman as well. And I was blessed to see people really, with a phone call, make $150,000 because he found a sponsor of a watch for his driver, right? So I was like, okay, $150,000 for a phone call. Okay, so there is no limit to income. And in network marketing, this is what they always tell us. There is no limit. So let's not put limit. But again, my focus was never ever on our income more, it was on the income of the people. What I love is to focus on my team, and their success is automatically my success.
Yeah, that's really true. If I would ask her now, okay, this person, your team, or that person, how much money are they making? She can tell me exactly how much money they're making. If I say, how much money did you make last month? She has no clue. Mm-hmm. She really doesn't know. And
I don't even know what to do with so much. You take care of it. He invested. I have no idea. I was happy that I got all my debts paid, and I was happy that I now can have what I really want. But then, as you can see, it's not that I'm like here coming with a big watch or full of diamonds. It's like it's more about the freedom and the lifestyle.
Yeah. And then when we met, I mean, we can talk about that, how we met. Basically what happened, that's really cool, is because it has a little bit to do with what we ended the very first video, the very first interview we did. We talked a little bit about how when you really set your mind to something, all of a sudden the circumstances start to change, like how God starts to move things because it's unreal, okay? And that's what happened to us a lot. When I met her, it was the first night I saw her, and I was like, wow, who's she? That was in Portugal at like a qualification dinner. And I asked the guy that I knew, was like, hi, who's this girl? Okay, who's she? And he didn't know her and everything. So it was kind of like I saw her and I was like, wow, if I could ever marry a girl like that, I would. That was my thought, and it was crazy because if you'd asked me before, I would say I'd be the guy that never marries, okay? Because why would I marry, like, really? And then I see her, and I was like, okay, if I would ever be able to marry a woman like that, I would marry her. And then crazy part is we even married, which is also crazy if you think about that. And there was no point to it. Why? Because she was already married, had 3 kids. They look like coming from the advertising agency, so I would never
I was super happy in my marriage in that moment.
And I would never interfere with a family like that. But then what happened?
I didn't even see him. We didn't even talk.
Yeah, because actually that was a funny story to that. So what happened the next day, I was a speaker at the event in Portugal. And I was speaking, and the event is done. It's like 1,000 people in the room, and the people leave for the break. Everybody's leaving except one person. Her.
Of course,
and she walks,
I stay until the end, right? And I talk to everybody.
And in the end, she walks up to me, and that was after the night where all night I was thinking about her, and she didn't even see me. So everybody leaves, she stays, comes to me, and I'm thinking, okay, where's the camera? Okay, because that is not normal. And she comes to me, is like, oh my God, Danien, I loved your speech. It was amazing. You're the best speaker today. You inspired me. It's incredible.
I needed to send my people to you.
Yeah, and then
I need to use you.
So I was like, whoa, what's going on? And then she's like, you're from Germany, right? And I said, yes. And she's like, wow, my husband too. And I was like, why don't you just zip the last word? Just don't say it, just leave. Leave me in my bubble, she bursted
I needed to use the fact that he was German to send my contacts to his events. So I was being like nice. I also have to be honest, I considered him being, oh, what a nice boy. So I came like an older sister, like, oh, you were so good, well done, boy, because I was like, wow, what a young boy, and he's being great. But what I wanted was, can you please take care of my German team?
Of course.
So that was my first approach.
But then what happened after that was basically we started to see each other in the most unrealistic situations. They're not real. Like, for example, one day I fly to, I don't even know where.
You missed the flight.
Yeah, wait, I want to fly to like Croatia or what, I don't remember, somewhere. And I get to the airport and the flight's canceled. I mean, we fly a lot. That doesn't happen a lot of times.
Of course.
Very rarely. Okay, the flight's canceled, no problem. They reroute me, fly to Switzerland. I'm not supposed to be in Switzerland. Fly to Switzerland, I get off the plane. And there's this girl that looks exactly like her girlfriend.
I look terrible.
No, like her girlfriend. And I was like, wait, hold on. Is that?
Ah, yeah, my girlfriend.
Isn't that Stefania's girlfriend? Wow, she looks close. Right behind her comes Stefania. Whoa, but she really looks like Stefania. But hold on, what? I was at the same airport in a random country.
And
Number one.
We made an interview to you, me and her. Because again, oh, this boy is so good, and then you told us what you were doing because you were being
so many things.
Volume was
like
so
the
great.
other thing where later we were talking about that she told me, oh, I'm gonna go to Dubai
to my uncle
to see my uncle, and I'm gonna say, when are you gonna go to Dubai?
At this point, unfortunately, he didn't know, but at this point, unfortunately, I was already divorcing.
Okay.
But I kept it secret
she didn't
from
tell me
everybody.
because I didn't want to have any hopes.
No, not only that.
You
I
didn't
told
want to give me
nobody
any
because I didn't want, because my ex-husband and me in Portugal, we were a little bit known, and I didn't want gossips. So I kept it very distant from my, from my work. Also because I was nobody in network marketing. I was starting my career, so I kept it secret. So he had no idea. But my uncle told me, come before Christmas, so you take your head off. The pain of the divorce, my uncle and my cousin. So they invite me to Dubai. They actually pay my trip and everything.
So we talk on the phone. She says, oh, I'm going to go away next week. And I said, where are you going? She says, I go to Dubai. And I'm thinking, we never spoke about that, okay? And I had a ticket to Dubai myself next week. And I was like, what do you mean you go to Dubai? I was like, yeah, I'm going to Dubai. It was like, when are you going to Dubai? And she says, whatever, Tuesday. And I say, I don't believe that. She's like, why? I say, because I'm going to Dubai Wednesday, the day after. She's like, I don't believe you. It's like, I'm sending you my ticket now, so you see, I cannot even book it that fast.
Because I thought he was hunting me down.
I was probably booking it, right? So I sent it right away. I literally landed the next day, and then she's like, unbelievable. And then she says, and that was even more crazy, I'm actually thinking. Now I remember that clearly. You say, I'm actually thinking about moving to Dubai. Now you need to know, Dirk, for 2 years at that point, I was preparing to move to Dubai, and I was fighting and negotiating with the company because they weren't open in Dubai. That was before Jeunesse acquired Monavi. Monavi wasn't open here, so I had to get an agreement that I was be allowed to import the product here and everything. I fought for that forever.
This is why, let me interrupt.
And out of nowhere, no, now you don't interrupt.
Yes!
In that moment, she says, I'm probably going to move there, and all my plans is to move there. And that happened like this.
But
and
this
so
is
many
why
things.
I was talking to him, because again, there was no interest in the love part. But I thought, well, I need to bring the product as well to Dubai because my uncle offered me a job in Dubai, not network marketing, but this guy is the only guy in the company told me that is bringing the product to Dubai. So I need to be close to him to get me. So it's so crazy. What got me as a business interest, at the end, he really made me fall in love.
Okay, so now...
Because I didn't want to fall in love.
Okay, how about the dating tips for the people watching? How did you fall in love then?
Okay,
I mean, I know it's my handsome
You are
looks.
so amazing in follow-up. first of all.
Okay,
Guys,
fortunes in
don't
the follow-up,
quit
guys.
in following up
Do not
on the
quit.
woman. Yeah,
Exactly.
he would show up in front of my door. You know, he would find out if the kids were with me or with my ex-husband. So the times that the kids were with my ex-husband, and he knew because my kids were boys, I'm very jealous. So I'm like, don't you dare ever showing up, because I don't want we are not together, and I don't want the kids to ever think that we are, because, you know, it's a very difficult time. And so he would find out when the kids were not with me through my friend, and then I would be in my house working, building my business. And then in Portugal, I mean, I lived in Germany, and I opened the door and it's like, hi. I was like, what are you doing here? And another time I'm landing in Italy, and my car is there, and there are balloons, and there is a teddy bear in Italy with a letter, and there he was again. So the freedom
And I
of
was
network
supposed to be in Dubai.
Yeah, you were supposed to be in Dubai, and you surprised me. So what he did was not so much material things. I mean, you did get me a beautiful pair of shoes, but it was more the thoughtfulness, the surprise, the never quit. You know, he was talking to me because of the business. We were talking about business, and we were laughing. He was very funny. You were such an extrovert with me to get me, and then you became yourself afterwards, quiet. But he was like talking to me hours. So you can also say that you would go to sleep.
I was just thinking about that. So basically, because she sleeps so little.
I sleep super little.
And back in the time, I slept a lot. Now, not anymore as well, because that kind of happened
but
to me
you
now
still sleep
too.
more than me.
Yeah, a little bit, but not a lot more. No, but the point is, back then I would sleep at least 8 hours a day, like normal, you know. But she would always only be able to talk like in the middle of the night, like 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, or even then when we talked a long time.
I had
also.
kids. I had to build my business. I had no time for him.
So I took naps in the afternoon, so I could be awake and energetic at night to talk to her. And she never knew. And she was thinking, oh my God, this guy, he matches my energy. And I do, but not that prolonged of a time. Like, you know. So
once we get together, and I see him being all quiet and reading and writing in his computer and writing his book, because his book, he really wrote it, and I hated the book because he was always writing the book and the vision. And then I'm thinking, okay, obviously now he got a closer look to me. And he probably got to know me better, and he obviously doesn't want me anymore because he's not the person I thought he was. But then, it's like this. When he wants something, he's like, pat, 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 until he got me. The moment we were together, you became yourself. But like my parents say, it's very good that it's the opposite, because together we would be too much. So we kind of keep each other balanced.
Okay. So what is the secret to live together, to have a love together, and to work together? What is your secret?
I think we're same driven, first of all. That even though we're different, and she emphasizes a lot on how we're different, we really also are a lot alike in other things, which is the general direction. Like, we know where we want to go. I don't have to push her to do something. She doesn't have to push me to do something. We are pulled by our vision ourselves, okay? And even the vision in itself is a little bit different. Like, what motivates her, for example, is charity, giving money away. Like, the best thing in her life would be probably give away $1 million or $10 million.
We will give $1 million a month away.
Yeah.
We will.
So,
we will get there.
And
you listen to my words. It's in the interview. We will give every month.
So for her, that's like the big thing, okay? And for me, it's different things. But in the end, as we're building it on the same vehicle, it pulls us in the right direction, and it does that without me pushing her or her pushing me. That's number one. That's the second. Because of that, we have a big understanding on what's happening, because of course it's not always easy. For example, people look at us when we travel and we always take the big suite, and they're always like, oh yeah, Danien and Stefania, they go take the suite. No, what they don't understand, we cannot be in one room. Because if we are in one room and we're both on the phone, and it's not like I take a 15-minute phone call and she does a 15-minute phone. No, she's on the phone for 3.5 hours, and I'm on the phone with 15 different people, or she does a webinar, and then you cannot physically be together without beating each other up after a certain amount of time.
When we had no money, I would lie in the bathroom, in the bathroom,
and lock the bathroom door. That was the only other room.
And he would talk in the bed, and I would lie in the bath with my phone and try to talk, because otherwise we get on each other's voices. Or I remember in Rome, was raining, was cold. I was on the terrace because he was sick, so I went out with a jacket, talking and building my business. Because we always say people see the glory, but they don't know the story.
Yes.
Even though I said, "Ooh, what you're doing is not enough," I did things that I don't know even how I did them. You know, I
know,
was
that
on
way
a,
if we
you
go
know, I was
really,
a
like-
clandestine on the train. I closed in the bathroom not to pay the ticket because I had no money. We flew always through Turkey airline. Now we take first class or business class Emirates, but before we flew through Turkey to save money.
Of course.
You know, so people don't
We
understand.
stayed here in Deira in the 2-star.
Oh my God! Do you
Indian
remember when they
hotel.
didn't change the
Oh yeah,
sheets?
yeah. Check this out. So she is like a really, like, her parents are the most clean person I've ever seen in my life. Like, you
It's
go,
like a hotel.
You go, yeah, better than a hotel. I mean,
Yeah.
you move the sheet like this in the bathroom. They come in and they move it back like
Yeah,
this.
it's a perfect
like,
house.
It's everything perfect. Okay.
Beautiful.
So and I am just normal. I'm not clean or something. But she comes from like that again, huge standard, and I'm normal. And I had to, when I started to come to Dubai, lower my standard massively because I didn't have the money. So I stayed in Deira in like a hotel, like whatever. But for me, it was okay. I don't care too much. Okay. But for her, it was like a breakthrough. So like breakdown. And what happened? The pivotal thing was this. She's all about the bed needs to be clean. So, for example, if we come from the airport,
giving all my
no,
secrets.
you got to know this. So, if we come from the airport and we go in the hotel and I sit down just on the corner of the bed, she's like, "Get up from the bed! You have all the germs on your jeans from the plane. Nothing is gonna touch the bed." Like,
Do you remember
only...
when you put the suitcase on the bed? I was about
She's
to
like,
say it.
"Are you crazy?"
He would put the suitcase
Yeah,
full
I
of
didn't know. I put my suitcase on the bed, plug it out. Like, now I don't ever do that again. I learned. But anyways, so even now I sit down, I can't. So we're in this hotel in Deira, and we are with each other, and we really like each other a lot. And you know,
Anyway, I throw the sheets on the bed.
so
on the floor.
after the day, what we did is we took all the sheets from the bed, and because we wanted to make sure they're gonna change them, which probably wouldn't happen, we unravel all the bed and throw it in the corner of the room, so they have to redo it. Bro, we come back, and the same sheets that were on the carpet of that hotel for the afternoon were back on the bed, uncleaned. And she was like, "Oh my God, I'm
I
not
still
going in
slept.
this bed." And then she actually humbled herself and went in that bed, and we slept in that bed. And it's like, but that's a good example of like, we really went through so much. And then I remember the
Because
time you did your
also-
tours in Italy, and you had like blisters on your hand from carrying the suitcases from one
Yes.
to the other.
Also,
Crazy.
when I met Danien, he was doing very well, but then you had some problems with your business. So also his business crashed down a little bit again because
there's
of
waves in it.
that guy that he behaved wrong and blah blah. It's a long story, but he cross-recruited people from us. So actually, we were actually struggling. So when we came to Dubai, people only saw the Dubai story, but reality was we had to really, really work hard and.
When
But
we
work
came here,
pays
our
off.
kids-
Work
when-
pays off.
when we
Now
came
let's talk
here-
about the children because you asked about the children.
Yeah, the kids didn't even go to school when we came here.
Yes.
That's the truth. We came here, we couldn't afford the school.
Yeah.
And even though I had this big income of 30,000, she had no income at that point. I had a few savings, okay, which was just barely enough to get here.
You always
I had
spent what you had.
Yeah, I
with
had to.
portion.
Well, I had some savings, which allowed us even to come here. But then I had to register the products. I had to buy stuff. We had to have an office. Had to do a license. We had to rent a home, pay it 1 year in advance, and all that stuff.
Yes, school was only
and we
in
could,
advance.
Yeah, and we couldn't afford the school, so we would get a teacher from the team that would do some homeschooling, but that wasn't really right. And like, there was a lot of things that we went through that was bad and,
So
and
now
hard.
I just want to tell you how do we do it with the children, because this is a question that so many people ask us because we travel a lot.
course.
And so the first thing I believe that I did right before Danien was in the picture was to make the kids part of my plan and vision and business, be part of just with me. So when I did the 90-day run, which my run was only 56 days.
1 day more than yours.
Yeah,
yes.
1 day more than mine.
Yes.
That is why you overtook me.
You see? But when I did that, I
Maggie
told the
did
kids, I
90
said,
days.
guys, look, Mama now will not be able to be around that much, will not be able to play with you, will not be able to, take you here, take you there. You will have to stay with Grandma. You will have to see Daddy more. At the time, we had 1 week me, 1 week there. And in that time, I gave them for 3 weeks to them. But I promise when I'm done, I'm going to take you to Euro Disney. Okay, at the time my income was not that great, so I was like, I'll take you to Euro Disney. And I remember them asking me every time, writing me, Mom, how far are you? Like, I made them part of the run with me. And they were like, Mommy, don't worry. Or, you know, when they were with me, I would say, guys, tonight Mom can't cook. And I would give them like Nutella sandwich. They were the happiest. And I had, you know, as a woman, you might have moments where you feel guilty as a mom. Okay, when you're building the business, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm not giving them the right food. I'm not spending enough time with them. One time I was doing a webinar and it started to rain, and my son was always walking from school, from football, and I could see the rain, and I knew my son was walking, but I couldn't move. I had to do this webinar. But at the end of the day, he didn't get sick from the rain. He arrived home, and what they learned was that I led by example to them. I gave them the best example, which is hard work, believe in yourself, succeed. You know, it's quality time together, not quantity time. And I have to be honest, and I'm not saying this because it's my kids, but all of them are extremely good in school, especially number 1 and number 3. So good in school.
Sorry, Jason.
Sorry, Jason. No, but let me say something about Jason as well. He's the one, if you go on my YouTube channel, he's the one rocking on stage. So, but they are like super good in school. Why? Because they have to, that's my responsibility. I show them, look what Mommy did with network marketing. Now you need to do the same with school. Then I taught them the hard work on times. You know, they would see me work. So, you know, they take that extra hours, they take that extra mile to be better. And then the other thing is that they think big, obviously, by taking them to Dubai.
Yeah.
You know, they speak 5 languages, 6 languages. They are totally, how can I say, international. One was born in America, the other one was born in UK, the one was born in Portugal. All of this you cannot learn. They live it. They learn it by living it. And that what makes them so incredible. And then my middle one, the one that doesn't like school so much, but still is okay. I mean, he's a B, C+, you know, not so good. But he, for example, has the skills of people. You know, he took the microphone in front of 9,000 people in Milan and just started to talk and coach people and telling them, you need to change your mindset, new generation, the next word is network marketing. And people were crying while my son was talking. And I remember that our founders came to me and said, well, you are already a very powerful couple in our company, but I guess you're going to be the most powerful family in our company. So I don't know if my kids are going to do Jeunesse. I don't know if my kids are going to do network marketing. One thing is for sure, I think they're going to be, all of them, something special because they learned that with us. And now, how do we do it? Quality time. When I'm here, we have the money, and money helps. To go to the Maldives with them, to go to do amazing things together, to go to ski in beautiful places. And when I'm not there, we have a group, a chat called Koala, where we share what we do, where we teach them what we do, and it's amazing. Maybe also because there are 3 boys, but they're super independent as well. Yeah. He was very important, not as a dad, because I'm the father and the mother to them. He's very important as a friend to them. And he's the one that pushes them to do always better and better. And he's so good to them, really. My girlfriends are like, oh, he's so cute, how he loves your kids. Because women we love when I'm husband, when a man likes children that are not his kids. So you got some points.
I just realized one last thing I wanted to add. And that was when we talked about before how we went through the struggles when we came here. I realized one thing that I think is a teachable moment. Even if you achieved something great, which I really did, thinking about it, 30,000 a month, everything, you know, in order to level up, you have to be willing to lose it all over again. I just realized that because, yeah, we were great. And if I would have stayed comfortable, it would have been simple. Yeah. And I would have stayed at my level, but I would have never gone up to 100,000 constantly, or even 200, or even 300, or even more. Whatever, right?
If we join our checks together.
The point is that only because you raised the standard first, which came from you, fair enough, I have to say that, which is what Tony Robbins says, raise your standard. And then go adjust your thinking, adjust your activity, and then the willingness to lose it all over again. When we came here, and it's not even about coming to Dubai, that is just what happened in our life, but it could be any other form, shape, or thing. You have to be able or willing to risk it again. Because if not, without the risk, there won't be growth. And I realized that just again,
yes.
Because all these stories to build it, that was number one. And then I kind of had it. And then to go to the level where we're at right now, which is, you know, what Grant Cardone always talks about, 10x everything, or even more. You just have to be willing to risk one more time, and that might be a message, because I think many people are playing it too safe,
Yes.
but still dream about 10x. It won't happen. It won't like in my experience, it will not happen unless you're willing to put it all
And to
in
risk.
one more time.
Look, people told us, you guys are crazy. You don't even know each other, and you're now going to Dubai, and you're starting to try to
Yes.
open up a company. At the end, God came and He gave us the miracle that Jeunesse already bought our company, and then at the end, we already had everything done. But we spent, I think you spent more than 100,000 euros to try to bring here our old company out of his own pocket, having obviously the advantage then to be one of the first. But still, you know, even though that was a bad investment and it was something that we lost money, because of that, we pushed our work ethics much longer hours, much more work, much more intensiveness, because we had lost everything we had saved. Plus the kids not going to school. I mean, you can imagine they didn't go to school for only 3 months, but you can imagine as a mom, I'm like, I need to change this. So you know what? I'm gonna now go and work.
And now you sum up all this conversation, and you go back to your original question: could I be as successful without her? Could she be as successful without me? Never. Mm-hmm. How does a normal partner fit in a relationship like this?
Not possible.
Impossible. The third night you miss dinner because you're on a conference call, they'll get upset. What about the third year?
I will never forget this. Finally, we have our beautiful home here in Jumeirah Islands. The kitchen is done. We are 6 months in, and finally I said, okay, I want to be a normal family tonight, because we never really lived together, right? So I said, I'm going to be a normal family tonight, and I will cook. We had a maid, but I will cook. She will help me. And I went to the supermarket. I wanted to feel like a wife, a normal wife, and I'm preparing everything, and and the kids, I said, go and take a shower, dress up. I'm dressing up. And at the time, we still had the office, because we created an office here. Then we sold it because then Jeunesse came. And that was the moment where there was the merge between Monavi and Jeunesse, our two companies. And I knew that Danien wanted to talk to Scott Lewis, to our visionary officer, for a long time. But obviously, the guy was super busy. And I never forget, I'm wearing even the kitchen thing, like to cook. And I'm opening the door with the flowers and the music and the candles. I'm like, baby, welcome. And I was like, yes, we are a normal family tonight. And in that moment, and this is not a joke, Scott calls him up and he looks at me, shows me the phone, and I go like, it's okay. And then you were around the roundabout walking for 1 hour. You guys were on the phone, and I was having dinner, me with the kids. And I wasn't angry. I was actually happy, because I knew he was going to do something amazing for our team with Scott. And it was going to help all of us. But a normal wife
would kill him. When he
probably would divorce.
Of
Probably
course.
would divorce.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
So you found each other, okay? But what about the man who said, the woman on my side, by my side, will not support me like this, or the women that said, the man by my side will not support me? What is the solution?
First, watch this video.
Yes, of course.
Sure. No, I have many situations like that, especially because I duplicated myself. So I have many women that are married on their 40s and above, and they have a husband at home who obviously don't want them to work all the time. And what I tell them is, it's make your husband part of how you feel and how this business makes you feel. Take him to an event. Let him show what is Jeunesse. And find a balance. Obviously, for example, now what we do sometimes is we have 3 days a week where I say, okay, I'm going to have nights work with Zoom. But then the other 3 nights, we are very strict and say no. We have to learn to say no. So, I tell them, find a balance. And he has to understand her, and she has to understand him. But I have many husbands that come to me and tell me, you know what? In the beginning, I couldn't understand why she was working so hard and, not giving me attention for so little money. But now, not only I'm happy that there is this extra income, because, come on, families today need extra income. life is getting expensive. In Italy, it's expensive, and so the husband is happy.
Yeah.
But it's also, people like, for example, Manuel and Matteo. Matteo is super successful. They don't need more money. She makes good money as well. But it's not about the money. But he says, Stefania, man, she is so much happier. She feels so much more confident. She looks so much better. Even sex is better because when a woman is confident, she gets better. He says, Jeunesse saved my life. And it's not about the money, right?
Yeah.
So if the people understand, and now let's talk about the man. A man that works from 9 to 6 and comes home, and we know that today because of the mobile, even a guy in the bank will still looks at his email. So today we are still working all the time for the dreams of somebody else. Girls, don't you want to have a man that will give you a much better lifestyle, that will spend more time with you and the kids, that doesn't have an alarm clock, that can travel with you? Much better. So they both need to understand the vision. Even if one of the two don't do it, they still need to respect
each
and
other,
support.
Yeah. And then unfortunately, and we have to also say that, because it would be a lie to say that every time we can fix it, sometimes it's not to be fixed.
Yeah, sometimes you have to tell them, forget it.
It's the same with friends, really. People are always afraid like that. Oh my God, if I start being an entrepreneur, if I start doing this, I'm afraid I will change. I'm afraid I will lose my friends. The truth is, what happens a lot, if you start to develop yourself and other people don't, unfortunately, those paths will separate over time, and either there is a conscious decision to grow together, or if only one person grows, then the person that stays behind many times blames the person that grows for it. But truth is, you're growing and he's not, or she is not. And so I definitely network marketing provokes a more intense life, and it will bring together what should be together, and it will also, like probably every entrepreneurial endeavor, will also separate what does not belong together either. Unfortunately, I have to say this,
yes.
but it's true, because you can. But it's not about network marketing only. It's really every business.
It's
about success.
Yes, it's about success. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in the end, you are who you spend your most time with, and you cannot even afford, as a successful person, you cannot even afford to be with a person that refuses to grow. Doesn't mean has to do your business. Doesn't mean has to join network marketing.
Oh,
but a person
support.
that refuses to grow, it's a problem. And if in a relationship you don't have the mutual respect to even support each other, it's a problem.
Sometimes the partner gets scared when they see a change, but again, because they are insecure, they're afraid. But if the wife, I always talk wife because I talk in a feminine way, but if the wife or the husband brings them along, for example, I always tell the wife, bring your husband, then he will understand, then things can change. But Danien is right. We had a couple of situations where, unfortunately, they divorced. We cannot say because of network marketing, but because of the growth.
Yeah, success just changes, and people and relationship, and growth. Yeah.
But the truth is that they were not happy either before, because if you're a strong couple in love, then nothing should separate you, not even this. But yeah.
Nice.
Wow. A lot of power. Thank you. I think we have to make part 2 of this conversation. But it's not my conversation. I just listen. So, das war das erste Interview auf Englisch in meinem Kanal. Es werden weitere folgen. Die Frage ist, also ich plane einen eigenen Kanal auf Englisch zu machen. Wie siehst du das? Willst du englische Videos haben im deutschen Kanal? Oder sagst du, hey, dann mach doch einen englischsprachigen Kanal, wo die ganzen englischen Videos kommen? Also da bin ich gespannt auf deine Meinung. Gerne Kommentare unten drunter. Deine Fragen an die beiden auch gerne, weil wir werden garantiert einen zweiten Teil machen. Und sensationell. Ich werde beide verlinken. Es lohnt sich. Instagram, ja, wir haben gehört, bei Stefania ist es deutlich mehr als bei Danien. Es lohnt sich zu gucken, der Lifestyle und wie fleißig die beiden sind. Also an der Stelle hinterlasst einen Kommentar, mach einen Daumen hoch, schau dir die beiden an in Social Media und lern was draus. Das war gerade voller Content. Lern was draus.
Tschüss.
Tschüss.